Hello there, sword friends. This is going to be a video basically where I open up this box right here. I'm going to do this little video, which is something of a reaction. I think it gives you a chance to see my interpretation of things. Usually I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm not the greatest at bullshitting or lying, which is why I try not to. But if you see me open the package, then maybe it'll give you a better idea of my genuine thoughts. I'm going to tell you what's in this box first because I know what should be in it. And it's some swords from JKOO or Sino swords or JKOO swords. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I didn't in my previous video either. Some time ago, JKOO or Sino swords sent me a tsunami katana to review. And I guess they thought I did a good job and were comfortable sending me another review sample. But this time, the idea was that I said, hey, it'd be nice if I could pick out or go through this custom order form list and pick out kind of my thoughts or what I wanted in a sword, and then you send that to me. I basically ordered one that had a swirly Mitsudome Suba, so hopefully that's in there because, you know, I'm tickled by those. But also just some other things that I think would showcase sword crafting a little bit better. The saya is like a rattan saya, and that's hard to do well with the lacquer. The ska is, you know, the hishigami kind of the same way, but there's not really a whole lot of options to do there. I had some kind of unconventional bohi requests where it's a kind of a mixture of things, and it's unconventional and not normal and probably kind of stupid looking, but I think the transitions between them and the fact that they can do both and facilitate an odd request is also a powerful thing. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing. Other than that, like it's a larger blade in terms of size. I'm a larger person, so I thought that would be nice to use based on what's in the box. It certainly has the potential to be the right length. In addition, there's also another sword in here that I am supposed to forward on to another reviewer. I'm supposed to give my general thoughts on it, but save breaking it for the next person. Also, what's supposed to be in here is a Sanmai katana that I get to break. And some time ago, there's been some question about forges in China actually making legitimate Sanmai or Kobusei, if I'm saying those names right, laminated style blades. And the idea is that there is a laminated blade in here that I get to break and check and see if it is laminated. So I guess we'll find that out later. Now, all that is going to happen in a review. I'm not going to break the sword right now. I'm not prepared to do so. I'm not really in a condition to. But that will be coming someday. Anyway, now I'm going to open stuff and stop rambling. That's what's supposed to be in the box is two S words, and we'll see how it goes. I have to admit that the packaging is inexpensive. I always look at how people package swords because my field of study was like supply chain, which is a very broad term for lots of different things. But in a nutshell, if somebody spends a lot of money on packaging, that's money that in some way, shape, or form you as a consumer are paying for. And so seeing that this inexpensive styrofoam is used is means that the money that well, not me in this case because I didn't pay anything for it. This is a review sample, but that prospective buyers pay is not going into flashy packaging or stupid boxes that go into a closet and never get used again. It's really simple and kind of irritating to unbox, but this is a burden that you really only have one time. And then it's done, and it's inexpensive. It's completely effective. The sword, is in general quite secure. So here I have a bag with some additional makugi. Those are wooden pins that hold the blade on. I'm getting styrofoam naturally everywhere. And this must be the second sword. Now the two swords were being sent. They're supposed to be... It's a little bit dubious. I don't know exactly what they're supposed to be, frankly. One is one that I picked. This blade is the one that's going to go to the second reviewer. I'm supposed to give my thoughts and maybe do some basic cutting with it, and it feels like it's in a Shirasaya. Supposedly, the fittings from the blade that must be in the other package here are supposed to fit on that blade, which if they do is personally something I think is actually really interesting, because most of the time that's not an option. So say you want to have some swappable saya and fittings and things like that. If they're capable of making different fittings fit on two different swords and have them all come together and match and fit well, I think that opens up a lot of potential for people that want to have, say, a really nice set of koshirai for the sword, maybe like a rattan wrap this or that, but you're also planning on using the sword for cutting and for EI, and you don't want to bring it to the dojo where it gets whacked on the floor and smacked maybe into other people around you. It's a sword, so hopefully it's not smacked into too many people around you, but I think you get the idea, is that if the company is capable of making a sword and have two sets of koshirai fit on it, that's good, and that seems easier to me than having two physical blades that one set of koshirai fit on, which is, I think, what's supposed to be happening here. Damn it, I don't know how this one opens. It's upside down. Whatever, I'll figure it out. Anyway, you could conceivably have two blades. I don't know why I'm talking. I'm probably going to edit all this out. You could conceivably want two different blades because you know you're going to do dumb stuff with them. You know you're going to bend them. Something like that. So maybe you want two blades that match or something like that. So it's possible to accommodate that. I think that's nifty. Okay. I managed to do this while only getting minimal amounts of foam everywhere. It's still not great. But, Jesus. Okay, yeah. But again, a burden you only have once. Okay, so why don't I check out the boring one first? This is the Shirasaya piece. I'm gonna. Okay, so just a couple quick glances. So my understanding is that this Shirasaya is supposed to be really rudimentary. This is primarily for me to ship it to the next reviewer, and that the koshirai in this blade is supposed to fit it. So it's supposed to be pretty lackluster, and so I'm not expecting much. What I do see, though, I still have to give my thoughts on what I see. One, there's no Makugiana in here, and I don't know exactly why that is, but they sent plenty of extras. Two, there's a gap right here, if I'm picking out flaws, and the wood that's used, I'm seeing, some people really like the look of kind of the knots and stuff in it. Honestly, I don't mind it. This is in a rough finish. It hasn't been stained or anything at all, so you could probably apply a wood stain to it really easily. It would probably soak that right in and bring out some character. Anyway, it's a really basic saya, and it looks like it's kind of in prime condition to be made into something prettier. Looking at the Hibachi, looks like a copper Hibachi or a brass Hibachi, but it has a little bit of texture to it. There's some scratch pattern on the base. It's different anyway. It's not the same thing, and I like that. Okay, so it's in a bunch of wax or oil, which is good. It should be. It's a long way across the pond to be shipped here, so I don't know that this is really making good television, but alright, so straight out of the gate, the Shirasaya has caused some minor rubbing right in here. I don't know that that's going to come out in any of the camera angles that I can give you. I'm not really set up here to showcase this. But this appears to be well, it's really hard to tell what it is. Honestly, it looks like a non-folded blade. It looks like, I'm not competent enough to tell you what kind of steel it's made from just by looking at it, but it looks like a differentially hardened Shobuzakuri style blade. It almost has a Shinogizakuri tip, just without a Yakote kind of blended in there. It's clean, reasonably The polish and hamon are nice from what I can make out. There are minor blemishes though from the sheer saya, kind of likely the saya rub that has happened. They're minor, but they're little surface scratches that I don't know if I can bring out. I will before I do another review. Needless to say, they're there, and if you're expecting perfection on things like this, it's often a misguided hope, because very few things survive the way sayas are made, kind of in mass production, rattling and kind of being shipped, the way they end up being, shipped overseas. Even if they're very gentle, even if you pay for like a really nice expedited service, they still bounce around in a truck or on a plane or something like that, and that can cause the rub. But anyway, from what I'm seeing, it's a stout, healthy blade. I like, the Hibachi lines up reasonably well. It's, far from a perfect Hibachi, but for what it is, it seems quite nice and serviceable. The lines are reasonably clean and flat. It looks like it's been buffed a little bit though. The shinogi is not as clean and crisp as it could be, but overall I think it's a very handsome sword. So eventually I'll see if this Koshirai fits, but that's a very handsome sword. Alright, and so now we'll look at the one I ordered. Let's not get them into the open wound in my hand. That would not be ideal. Okay. So fully rattan wrap saya. Now the rattan wrap is not gloss finished, it's finished in ishime texture, and personally I think it's really cool. The ishime is this kind of stone finished texture, and the perk is that the rattan requires like a lot of sanding to really be clean, and the ishime kind of obscures any imperfections, and at least it makes it blend in a little bit better. But texture, I think this is actually pretty cool. I can see, some imperfections in the rattan wrap underneath, but overall, actually, I think that's pretty fucking cool. Let's give you an idea right here. Horn Kojiri. Koiguchi's horn transitions seem to line up reasonably well here. It's a heavy blade, but it's not staying in the saya super well, so it's a bit of a downer. Sageo seems very nice. The Suba is what I asked for. Soil limits dome. Oh yeah. Alright. I got some. The rest of the stuff that I picked was pretty straightforward, kind of iron Fujikashira. Just I preferred simple blackened stuff, and personally I think that this is a very kind of classic look. Black silk, kind of blackened iron fittings, black Suba. If I go with the other fittings that are on some of the swords, they tend to get gaudy, and I personally don't like the casting. It's not that I mind it, and I appreciate that other people like it, but to me it starts to lose some of the refinement that it's trying to emulate, and it becomes kind of gaudy and silly, and it's just not my favorite thing. So the simple Tsukashi kind of emulation, or just simple cutout and kind of more simplistic look is what I went for here, with a little bit of bling. This is a big rib for her pleasure saya, and I think it came out really well. I'm almost distracted from the fact that I'm covered in styrofoam at the moment. One point I guess that was missed is I did ask for a silver Hibachi, and maybe it's my lighting here, but this is not a silver color, so I got brass Hibachi as opposed to silver or nickel plated. The edge, I'm noticing there's a very small lip right here. The hamachi is overlapping slightly. The Hibachi loose. No. But still, it's a different kind of shape and texture Hibachi. That's nice. The Ito is, as it was in the other JKOO sword, just extremely tight. Nothing is loose. Yeah, alright. And here is my weird ass bohi. Let's see if I can clean this up a little bit. Oh, and they did what I asked them to do. And they asked why they want me to do it, because it's dumb. And then I said, I know it's dumb, but it would let me know if you can do it. And then they did it, which is kind of like a game of spite. But I think they did exactly what I wanted. So this is a Naginata kind of bohi style, and most of the time this would taper and the back would kind of taper in ever so slightly and thin out. So rather than having a bohi, this kind of back end portion here would be marginally thinner, and I think that's called a Naginata Naoshi style geometry. But I didn't do that. I had them put in this kind of starts above, about an inch above the Hibachi, and route in this one large single bohi, then transition. The way I described the transition was actually a little bit different, so if I bring this up here, you can see that I was actually hoping one of these lines would come down into, rather than have this double bohi. It's like a I can't remember. It starts with an F, but it's a type of bohi. I was hoping that one of them would come down and they would transition a little better. The transitions are not great, but not awful either. They don't just run off. Particularly this larger one. It doesn't just run off, but the transitions are not great. The hamon is not bad. Let me see if I can get some better light going here. Well, hopefully you can see it kind of in this area when I move it up and down here. Gives you some idea. Lots of oil, but what I do notice is that I don't think I see any saya rub on here. No prominent rubbing of the saya is blatantly obvious here. Polish is good. The lines are, within the bohi, I spot a few little ripples, but otherwise, the flats of the blade are looking really clean. This must have, obviously, I asked for something kind of obscure. There wasn't a template that they had to make this from. So it came out pretty nice. The Kisaki is what I think they call geometric, which means there's, they're all in a sense geometric, and it doesn't really, honestly, it doesn't really matter to me if it is or not, but it's polished on there reasonably well. I wouldn't call it fantastic, but one thing I'm going to say is that this is a big stout sword with a pretty wide spine here, but it actually feels pretty good. It feels pretty good in the hand. It's just going to be kind of depressing to break, honestly. So this is the one that I will be testing to break in half, and then I'll try to figure out. I don't honestly know how I'm going to etch the blade to show you if it is a Sanmai construction or not, but I'm going to figure it out. So anyway, I'll put this through the paces in a similar fashion to the other JKOO sword that I tested, or Sino sword, and you'll see a review on this eventually. But yeah, if I were to, I need to find out how much this would cost, but in a nutshell, I don't know that I would be disappointed with it. This feels kind of cool. Now, I'd probably just get something with this double bohi. I like that one. I think it looks cool. I do also have an affinity for bohi that kind of start above the Hibachi for some reason. I like kind of the beginning there. I like how that looks. But I certainly wouldn't be disappointed if this was a sword I bought. There's also actually a really handsome and very gentle distal taper that I'm noticing here, which is something I described to them, and I think they did it a little deeper than I asked for, but I gave them some specifications about how the taper should the width and dimension of the blade. And basically, I was kind of as specific as I could be in the description of what I wanted, but also weird. I tried to stick within the realm of what they had, but also push a little bit. For example, they offer both of these bohis, but they don't offer them in combination with one another. And that's something that I asked to be done. They offer this style Hibachi, and then they offer a silver one, and I asked for a combination. So I got a brass Hibachi, but I got the bohi that I asked for, which is not subsequently something I would recommend you do. The reason I asked for this style bohi is to showcase two different styles of bohi that they could do. If I'm going to do a review on it, it's nice to have two kind of samples in one, if you will. So I have a Sanmai katana that's folded. I don't see a ton of sign of folding, but I'm also not in the right light to really see it. Two different bohis to look at. I can see how they polished. I can see the Kisaki. Yeah, there's some fun stuff to show here, but yeah, they kind of nailed the oddness that I really asked them for. So I'm kind of impressed by that. Yeah, it feels nice. And I guess what I will do is last time it was not terribly sharp. So what I will say is I do not notice a big secondary bevel on the sword, and we'll some of you have seen me do this before as well, so you know how good or not good I am at rather at cutting paper in my hand here. But as a general, it seems quite sharp. So yeah, frankly I'm impressed, and I'm starting to look forward to doing the review on it. If there's anything you would like to see me do with this sword, something maybe you think I leave out of my other tests, the destiny, unfortunately, is that this sword is going to be broken in half. That's the promise I made to the manufacturer, and frankly something I think would be beneficial to the community. There's a lot of speculation about if swords like this are actually Sanmai. If you pay your hard-earned money for a fucking Sanmai blade, do you get a Sanmai blade, or do you get some patterning on the surface that emulates it? I was very interested to answer that question, and that's something I brought up with the manufacturer, that it would be nice to crack another blade in half, and if I can get a Sanmai blade, I think that would be helpful, and it's something that would be beneficial, a beneficial question to answer anyway. So know that is the case. I am kind of sad about that because it's very pretty, and I like the way it feels, but this sword is destined for destruction. But if there's something you would like me to do, measurements you would like me to take, something you would like me to do cutting wise, or hell, if you're in the Minnesota area and you want to swing it around yourself before I break it, let me know in the comments below. I'd like to know so I can provide as much feedback about it and much information as I can before I break the son of a bitch in half. Anyway, that's all I have for you. I hope you found this interesting. Wasn't planning on making a video so quick, but I figured, special fun day. Might as well share, and shit, I'm happy. Anyway, so I got. Cheers, and thanks for watching.